You are listening to Kaio Conversations, a podcast about anything and everything that matters to Chi Omegas.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Leslie Harrington, CEO for Chi Omega, and we are joined today by Punky Penberthy, a 1956 initiate of Iota Alpha chapter at SMU. Punky has served Chi Omega in numerous ways over the years, and most notably as SNV, or National Treasurer, from 1994 to 2000. But she started as her chapter's GM, or New Member Educator, and then went on to advise the Psi Zeta chapter at the University of Houston, where she received the Advisory Committee Excellence Award in 1992 for her work as personnel advisor. She also served as president of the Houston Alumni Association and chair of Chi Omega Kaleidoscope, not to mention having attended a ton of national conventions over the years. A fun fact about Punky is that she and her mother, former SH Winnie Bowker, are the only mother-daughter duo to have both served in the role of SNV. Punky and her husband Wally live in Clifton, Texas, and are parents to 3 grown children, Walt and Cindy and Rebecca, who are, of course, Chi Omegas, both of them. They also have 2 Chi Omega granddaughters, Frances Graham and Isabella Graham Wagner. Well, Punky, we are so honored to have you with us. Thank you for joining us and sharing your time.
You're entirely welcome. It's my pleasure.
Well, what do you think has most changed about sorority life when you see it today since your experience in the 50s?
When I knew that you might ask that question, I kind of chuckled to myself. The Dean of Women at SMU was named Lyde Spraggins, and we could not wear shorts on campus. You had to wear a raincoat or some covering. So, and I thought, well, that's not just sorority life. That has just generally changed. Things are a lot more casual than they were when we were collegiates. Some things have not changed. I've looked at our granddaughters, and they are close to their friends that were in their recruitment class, and also their mothers, their mother and her sister are. That part has not changed, but I would say recruitment has changed. I mean, it's not called rush.
Yeah,
it's called recruitment. They're not quite the elaborate skits and music and so on and so forth. I have not heard of the fraternities serenading the sororities like they used to when somebody was pinned. So those are the things that I think of off the top of my head. Some things have not changed. And as I said, that's the friendships.
and that's the most important part.
Yes, exactly.
It's amazing how the more things change, the more some things just stay the same forever. I guess nowadays people are wearing those risque shorts just uncovered all around campus, I think.
Yes, very short.
Well, you and your mother both served on the Supreme Governing Council of Chi Omega, and you were both SNV. What was it like, to be SNV, and what was it like to share such an honor with your mom?
Well, one of the memories that I have is that my mother, quote unquote, lived in Cincinnati for a certain length of time. And that was when the executive mansion was sold that was on Grandin Road, and they moved into Carew Tower.
Right.
And then the transition from Mary Love to Elizabeth Dyer. If any 2 people were not cut out to be treasurer, it would be my mother and me.
Why do you say that?
Well, because that's not our strength, but Chi Omega had the support that we needed to be able to do it with the office staff. And so I remember that my mother spent a lot of time in Cincinnati. And my dad would get these phone calls, and he would love to talk to the people who called while she was away. And there were a couple of chapter visitors, Brenda Truett Donald being one of them, that with whom he became very close friends. Then, of course, he would say, she's in Cincinnati, and you go on up there. But Lynn Nielsen was instrumental in my being able to be treasurer of the fraternity.
Well, and Lynn Nielsen worked for the executive headquarters and was director of business operations, if I'm remembering correctly.
That's correct.
And it sounds like your dad was second in command, unofficially, of course.
I think that was right. Without his support, my mother could not have done what she did. He was a very loyal Chi Omega.
Well, you know, that is probably the case of every single governing council husband that sacrifice a lot of time and a lot of weekends for our fraternity. And a special tribute that we have done, that the fraternity has done for our beloved governing council husbands, is given most of them the friendship pin of Chi Omega. And I bet Wally has one of those.
Yes, he does. He does.
Would you say S&V was your favorite role with Chi Omega, or was there another one that you remember even more fondly because you've done just about everything?
Well, two things. S&V allowed me to visit chapters, and I've always enjoyed going to the chapters. And then being an advisor to Psi Zeta, to be able to see that chapter grow in appreciation of themselves and have the confidence that they did, and be able to recruit as well as they did after about 4 years of our work. Those two were, and the part of S&V, of course, being on the governing council with Melanie Shane and Marianne Fruget and Jane Rogers and Shelley Potter was just an experience that I can't translate because it was challenging, but it was so much fun. And you ask about memories. One time, my birthday occurred during a governing council meeting. Well, after our long day, I was told we were going to go to Walmart. And I thought, why are we going to Walmart?
On your birthday.
I went to Walmart, and Melanie was so busy doing all kinds of things. I sat there and waited for Melanie. Well, it turns out that they had hired an Elvis impersonator to come to the headquarters that night, and Melanie had all sorts of things that she contributed to the evening. So being on the governing council was, it just was a treasured memory. And I have to give Wally credit, just like my dad got credit, because he was all on board for me to do that for those 6 years. And when he retired is when I retired from the governing council.
You retired together.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, we always say in Chi Omega that the position seeks the woman, and it looks like S&V found both you and your mom, whether you wanted it to or not. But I got to say, it sounds like it was pretty fun, even despite all the numbers and stuff, right?
Yes. I'm very grateful for the experience. Very grateful.
Well, so are we. Tell us about living in Texas. Now that we're talking about it, how do you and Wally spend your time? I understand that he is an engineer turned rancher. Now, you guys have cattle on that ranch. Are there any other animals?
Oh, 3 donkeys that are going to live forever. One of them, Blanche, looks like she could go any day now.
Blanche.
The cattle are here, and Wally has, we have a high fence place, and we lease it for trophy deer hunting. So that keeps him busy. But and we have feral hogs, and we have possums, and we have armadillos that dig the yard, and the possums get in the bird food, and it keeps us on our toes.
Never a dull moment.
Never, never, never.
Well, prayers for Blanche. We'll be thinking about Blanche for sure. And we can't let our listeners really go without a discussion on learning how you got the name Punky. Would you like to share that story and also share your real name for us?
By the time I was born, all their friends already had 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids.
Okay.
It's my understanding that they are the ones that started calling me Pumpkin. And then also I had a little bit of jaundice, and that may have been why they put that name on me. How it became Punky, I do not know, but we lived in Illinois, New York, Nebraska, and then back to Arkansas. My dad said when they air conditioned the South, he would return home. So he did. And everywhere, both my parents called me Punky. They never called, my only one who called me Sarah Ann was my aunt. And when we moved back to Little Rock, my mother took me up to Fayetteville to meet Miss Jo Bell.
Is that right?
And Miss Jo Bell called me Sarah Ann.
Okay.
And I almost forgot about that. And Isabel, the granddaughter, because I sent an email to the Cindy, Rebecca, Isabel, and Francis that said, any suggestions on what I should say? Isabel said, didn't you meet Miss Jo Bell? And Francis said, you might tell them how everybody gives all of us owls. I said, yes, they do. So those, I don't know. It's just, Sarah Ann is a lovely name and nobody calls me that.
Well, it sounds like you're pretty comfortable with Punky.
Yes.
Anyway. And for our listeners, she is talking about, unless there's more than one, the OG Jo Bell Holcomb, one of Chi Omega's founders. So that is a big conversation about owls, I would say.
Yes.
Well, with all of your Chi Omega history, you probably have a fun fact or a good story all your own that you'd like to share with Chi Omega Nation that might be tuning in today. What would that be? You got to keep it G-rated.
Oh, well, remember again, this is 1955, okay? 55 through 59, I was at SMU. I never broke the rules. But one night, after the Chi Omega formal, I stayed in town with Sophie Smith at her family's lovely home on Swiss Avenue in Dallas. And I did not sign out of the house.
Punky.
So on Sunday morning, Miss Mother Pascal standing at the door and made some comment like she knew, and I just smiled at her and walked in the house. Now that was really something for our day and time. You just did not do that.
That's very scandalous. And I feel like I'm going to have to check the statute of limitations because you may still need a personnel meeting, Punky.
I would welcome a personnel. So that's about as scandalous as anything I can remember. I was probably one of those goody two-shoes.
Well, I think you are a goody everything. And I've really loved sharing time with you today, hearing all your Chi Omega stories. And I feel like, you know, all of us can look up to you in terms of how scandalous not to be. You're a pretty good Chi Omega.
Thank you, Leslie. Chi Omega has been, as you can imagine, very important throughout my life. And I am fortunate enough that our children our daughters and our granddaughters with whom I've been able to, share the experience. It's been my fortune. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, you're welcome. And we are so grateful for your family of Chi Omegas, and you tell those ladies to keep it going.
All right, I will. All right. Thank you, Leslie.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening today. And stay tuned for more Chi O conversations coming your way. Also, if you have any podcast ideas or notable Chi Omegas that you'd like to hear from on our next broadcast, just give us an email at chiomega@chiomega.com. And as always, keep an eye on Chi Omega's social media channels so you can be sure and tune in with